In terms of for the business owner, landlord, the accountant, anyone in the professional services industry, how would you explain or how would you describe the difference between an inquiry and investigation, please?
So it's a really interesting question. I think I put something on LinkedIn about it recently as well. It's because in certain circumstances it means nothing in the sense that when you're dealing with HMRC, you have to almost kind of forget about the distinctions, and in other situations it can be very important. So this, I suppose, the starting point is to remember, right? You've mentioned business owners and landlords and people like that, but even if you take a step back from that, you zoom out a little bit more. HMRC administers pretty much every single tax and duty that is to administer in this country that brings in money to the exchequer, right? And he even administers things like national minimum wage, which is neither a tax or a duty. It's an obligation on employers to pay us at a level. Even that sits within HMRC. And there's a few other obscure things that HMRC deals with, which you wouldn't think a revenue authority would do. But when you think about it, you're thinking about from customs duties, excise duties, through to your income tax, corporation tax, VAT, which most business owners and people listening would be aware of, and even to an extent, dealt with tax credits in the past and so on and so forth. Now, each of those taxes has certain statutory rules around how HMRC goes about looking at them. Certain taxes have inquiry provision. For example, income tax, self-assessment, you have Section 9A, Taxes Management Act 1970. The corporation tax, they're in Schedule 18 of FA 98, and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to VAT, there isn't an investigation inquiry power per se. When it comes to employment taxes, there isn't a statutory inquiry power. So, the first thing to know is, if there is a statutory power, that's an inquiry. That's a statutory inquiry, right? So Section 9A is a statutory inquiry power. And if HMRC opens that inquiry under Section 9A, there are certain rules, certain conditions, for example, the time limits and all that sort of stuff. They also define what HMRC is able to ask for. That's self-contained. You then have either those taxes which don't have a statutory inquiry provision per se, or historic years for the other taxes I've just mentioned, income and corporation tax. How does HMRC go about looking into those? Now, the HMRC has information gathering powers.